So, Steve, if you'll lead us in prayer this morning.
Please bow your heads and join me in prayer. Dear Lord, we thank you for this beautiful week that we've had, and the weather has been gorgeous. We pray that you watch over all of those who are suffering under the hurricane in Louisiana and protect them. We ask that you protect all of our first responders as we remember yesterday, the anniversary of the worst disaster in first responder history. We ask also that you guide us in leadership in our community, our club, and our nation, and watch over us and protect us as we move forward into our day. All these things we pray in your name. Amen.
Thank you. Please join me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, are there any brags and blessings this morning? I've got a couple. Harry?
Well, this week my daughter got a job, so she's CFO of a company in Irving, and the real blessing was she didn't take the one in Aspen, so I didn't have to kidnap the grandkids.
Good for you. All right, Steve?
Had the pleasure of attending my wife's family reunion last weekend. Got to see my youngest son, and he took the weekend off from his Navy duties, so he joined us.
Oh, nice. Ken?
Couple things. One is the blessing that I actually have cash.
And not coins.
New York last week, and I went to need a piece of joint and doing some cash, but I have to take cash. Anyway, the blessing is I want to thank Alan and a few others that helped me out. I made my new house in Fort Worth, conveniently located near the tailgate spot, so that makes 6 Saturdays a year more convenient.
Amen. All right, Jeff.
All right, we're in. So I'm departing from here. The kids are down at Med City. They've been there since 8 o'clock last night. It's dilating. My wife's on the way to the hospital, so probably before lunch.
You violated 2 HIPAA laws?
Yeah. And we'll have yet another generation starting to go on grandpa.
So I have a couple. One for the chamber. We had our second most successful gossip last week. For those of you who played or supported, I really appreciate it. And second, my daughter got into the University of Oklahoma this week, and that's my hometown. So I think we're almost done with our college search, and that'll be 2 months.
Woohoo! All right, and I see we have one guest. Deanna, would you introduce your guest to us? Well, that's awesome. All right, from there we'll move into our committee reports. Harry, you're first up.
Not really much to report. We, as you know, approved the foundation budget a couple of weeks ago, and we're off and running and trying to get money in so that we can spend our money.
All right, thank you. Felix, anything for membership?
Okay, so the board met, and the board met and approved our membership incentive. So we are going to, thank you. These are cards. These are cards that you can hand out to people. As you know, on October 3rd, we're having our membership day. So that's the day where I'm really challenging everybody to try to bring a guest. We're going to do a presentation on Rotary, not just about what is Rotary International, but what's Rotary at Golden Triangle. What's our club about? What's our culture about? So this card, take a few. Don't be shy. There's plenty. There's plenty if each one of you wants to take maybe 10. But we'd like you to hand those out. And the card has to be filled out for them to redeem it, but you can actually redeem that card, or your guest can redeem it for a breakfast here on our meeting days, not on some other day. They have to fill out the top 3 lines on the back, which is their name, their phone number, and their email. So I ask you to do that. There is an incentive for you. So if you bring a member that actually signs up, you will get a free ticket to Wine and Jazz in the spring. Okay, so that'll be one incentive. Wine and Jazz. Sorry, that's my brain still has that engraved in there. Wine Discovery. Sorry, chamber event. I encourage you to go to Wine and Jazz, but 3 weeks. 3 weeks away, you don't get a free ticket to that. But it's you would get one to Wine Discovery. Thank you, Wine Discovery. And then if we get 5, if we have 5 new members, we're going to put all the people who sponsored into a hat, and we're going to draw. And the winner in that drawing, the sponsor winner in that drawing, will have a $100 credit toward their dues. So, or did we? We decided to do a whole quarter. We're going to do a whole quarter of dues. So we're going to give you a whole quarter of dues. We got real generous toward the end of the meeting because everybody wanted to go home. So, so it's going to be a whole quarter of dues. So, again, if we get 5 people here, names will go in the hat of the sponsors, or 5 people that join. Names will go in the hat of the sponsors, and then we'll draw. If you win, you'll have a free quarter of dues. But everybody that brings a guest that joins will get a ticket to Wine Discovery. All right. Yes.
You get, like, if I brought in 6 people brought in, and I'm bringing 3, like 3.
Yes. 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 That's great. If you get you have multiple people, multiple entries, and multiple tickets. There you go.
And doing that, you'd have a 50% chance of winning. So, by the way, it's not for every 5 members. It's at the end of the year for all of the new members that year. All the sponsors will go in the hat. So if there's 7, there'll be a drawing of 1 of 7. If there's 10 and we hit our goal, it'll be a drawing of 1 and 10. So
Remember, our team is 10 by 10. So next year's our 10th anniversary. So we want 10 new members by that time. We already have 2, so we got 8 more to go.
I don't see Chris in the house. Is Chris in the house? He's out of town. All right. That means, Edward, you're up. What do you got for us on service?
Thank you, Alan. Hey, I want to thank you all for your service and your sacrifice thus far this year. We only have about 2 events remaining for the 3rd quarter. Pretty soon, we're going to wrap up the 3rd quarter, and I'll get with you all to let you know what events that we have for the 4th quarter. This will allow you to pick and choose the events that you're able to attend. Hey, I can attend this one, Edward. However, I will not be able to attend that one. So look out soon, and we'll have that. Our team will get together, and we'll have those dates solidified for the 4th quarter. With the remainder of my time, I'm going to give it to Brandy and then Diane.
Good morning, guys. So we are, as far as the projects that we're doing for serving our seniors, we are still holding off on the adopt-a-lawn because right now, with the weather being so hot and crazy, the yard doesn't need mowed quite as often. So I'll reach out to you as needed. Another project that we are doing is going to be on September the 28th. I'd sent out a message pretty much begging to see who could help us or not help us. Who is available on September the 28th? So it would be from 9 to 12. I don't have the address yet because until we have 8 people, we're not confirmed. So everyone's looking away and eating, not looking at. It's a yard cleanup. So it's for serving our seniors. It's one of the seniors that will just go into one of their yards and just basic yard cleanup and everything like that. It's from 9 to 12 unless we finish earlier. So if you are available, if you would let me know so I can turn our names in. If not, we would probably lose out on that opportunity. The other thing that wanted to announce, and we won't have to decide on it today, is it's kind of like Adopt an Angel Tree. We have that program also. It's Adopt a Senior. So Edward and I talked about it. Next week we'll vote if we want to do it, if we want to do 1, 2, or 3 seniors, however many people that we want to do. But we can go over that detail a little bit more.
Hey, how old does Barb have to be to get out of your
65.
Oh, okay. She's close. Not there.
I
It's recorded.
I won't tell her that.
She's not watching. She's
All right, good morning. Okay, so for Little by Little, we have the cornhole tournament on the 21st. We as a club decided to put a raffle basket together. Just so you guys know, we're at $170 for the basket. And we are, Summer and I are going to put a basket together. I think we're going to do like a movie theme basket, like a Disney basket, because Moana 2 is about to come out. So I think that would be a good thing to put together. They are still looking for people who can help with, I guess, like the judging. I think that's what they're called, the cornhole people. And we're also looking for 2 more teams that can sign up of 2 players. So the 21st, which is the Saturday, if you can. And then we're also looking for a canopy. If anybody has a canopy that they can borrow, that would be awesome.
Just 1 can of peas? All right, Steve is not here either. So, Brandy, back to you to talk about wine discovery.
So this will be kind of really quick and short. Christy and I have been talking about the wine discovery. So we have a date. It's going to be March the 1st. But we have some changes that are coming. So hopefully next week we'll be able to announce all of that and get moving and kind of start talking about all of that and get the planning underway. So be here next week for those updates.
All right, and for all the people watching in the world, Dwayne has a special camera that adds 40 pounds to you, not just 10 pounds. So everybody needs to know that up front. So are there any other announcements before I turn the mic back over to Christy? I have one. The city is going to take our signs down in Old Town Keller. They're going to get me a contact so that we can make the new signs underneath, and then they're going to work with us to get them posted out here on either side of the Vivo store. So, all right, that's all we got. It's all yours, Madam President.
Have we considered, I've seen signs, places where Lions Club meets or this or that. You're talking about that here.
Thank you very much. The only other announcement I have is Oktoberfest. We are helping to coordinate some vendors for Shotzi's in Keller Tavern. October 5th and 6th. I still don't have information yet on if they need volunteers, which I don't think they're going to, but I think it's more of us helping probably early morning for vendor coordination as they set up. There's a lot going on that weekend, especially October 5th. It's the Bates Street ribbon cutting, date night. That evening on the 5th on the Bates Street side, which is the east side, 377. And then I know there's a vendor fair, I think, going on Vine Street that day as well. And now this Oktoberfest will be happening on the west side of 377. So there's going to be a lot of movement in Old Town Keller that day. So make plans with your family to come out. Should be fun. I'll have more information next week on that. And now I'd like to turn it over to Felix.
Alrighty, do we have to hold this one, or can I prop it here? Will that work? Will you hear the speaker? All right. Okay, so it is a great pleasure this morning to welcome Cody Mayberry to speak to us. As many of you know, for several years, 10 now, I've been serving on the park board. Cody has been with the city for 9 years. You have the city manager, and then you have 2 people below the city manager that kind of run the show. Cody's one of the 2 there that runs the show. Cody does an exceptional job and has a great team. One of the reasons why people love to be in Keller, they always say when you do surveys, parks, trails, and those amenities are always at the top of the list. The person who really makes sure that those stay at the top of the list and keep us in such great condition here and keep things going and moving forward in such a positive way is Cody and his team. Cody is wonderful to work with. I serve as the chair of the park board for the city, have done that. Hopefully I'll continue, but I'm up for reappointment, so we'll see. You get it's a 2-year appointment, and so I'm on my 5th term, so we'll see if we get a 6th. But we have what we do. We're volunteers, and we support staff, and then we actually are a conduit from the citizens to council. So we try to adjudicate some things at park board level to try to vet things out if there's an idea for events or parks or trails or those type of things, and then we kind of sort through those and we distill that down into some recommendations that are made to council. Council is the ultimate arbiter of the decisions. They're the ones who actually vote and actually make things happen. There's also another board called KDC, Keller Development Corporation. It's kind of the money arm of the council, but the council still makes the decisions. But when it comes to the spend and comes to how money is allocated, Keller Development Corporation basically makes the initial recommendation. So that's made up of, what is it, 4 council? It's 4 council and then other members at large plus the chair of the park board. So I sit on that committee as well. And so what we have is, we have a great team. We have an incredible staff. But most importantly, we have an incredible leader. And I'm excited to welcome him here this morning to tell you about one of the most exciting projects, the biggest project we've ever done in Keller, which is the update to the Keller Sports Park, which, if you don't know where the Keller Sports Park is, if you just go that way, if you go down to the light, take a left, and then take another right, you're in the sports park. And so Cody Cody, let's welcome him and thank him for getting up early this morning and coming all the way over here to join us. So Cody, thank you very much.
Thank you, Felix, and good morning, everyone. As Felix said, I'm with the City of Keller, Director of Community Services, so that's Parks and Recreation, the Keller Point, the library, the senior center, and I'm also over all the facilities. So we've got a huge staff. They do an incredible job, and we try to do everything that City Council empowers us to do. So as Felix said, we're going to talk about the Keller Sports Park. It's our largest park, and this is the largest project the city has ever undertaken in their history. And when I go through the end, you can guess how much this is going to cost, and we'll see if you can get the closest.
Glad I didn't say that. There it is. There you go. Here, I'll be your clicker.
Okay.
No, it won't. Technical difficulties, bear with us. What's wrong? I don't know what's happening here, so bear with me. Well, we had it working, so.
So how many of you were here in the 70s in Keller? Just a couple. This is the Keller Sports Park in 1979. This here is the original KYA fields. Fields 15, 16, 17, there's the field house. Golden Triangle is up here. 1709 is right over here. The railroad tracks are right here. The KYA fields were there first, and as the city started to, there's a closer up image of those fields and the field house. I believe they had their baseball or football and soccer field on here as well. In the 90s, the city bought the land adjacent to it, and they were actually going to develop it into residential neighborhoods. You can see where the streets are all laid out, and that'll come into play in a minute because that's the way all the water and sewer lines were run as well. Well, in the mid-90s, the city passed a half-cent sales tax. That's the 4B sales tax. That's what Felix was talking about, the Keller Development Corporation. So that's how the funding is acquired to do all these capital projects for Parks and Rec. It can only be used for Parks and Rec amenities. So after that was initiated, and we had money to build Parks and Rec amenities, you can see where our trail system started to come in behind or through Old Town here. KYA fields are still here, and our first project was 3 soccer fields on the north end. That was 95. By 2001, we had the equestrian arena. We had 2 multi-purpose fields, the 3 soccer fields, and the baseball fourplex. And then in 2004, we finalized with the other 3 soccer pads and the softball fourplex. This is what you see today. We're anchored by Sam's and Walmart on both sides. And since 2020, we did put a lacrosse field in this area here. So part of the problem with parkland is drainage and floodplains. That's typically why it's parkland, is because it's very expensive to develop into something else that you can make revenue on, such as building homes or businesses. So all of these areas with the blue or the hashed are areas that we would need FEMA requirements to do something in. So that's going to take time, and it's going to take additional funding to be able to mitigate those water impacts to people up and downstream. So instead of it being able to develop every single portion of this the council decided let's concentrate on the areas that we can make the biggest impact, and we do things above ground and not below ground that no one ever sees. So we worked with Park Hill. They used to be Strickle Rollins Associates. They designed several things for the city of Keller. We used them because they had done our Old Town West development, and they were instrumental in trying to tie in the sports park to Old Town and Keller's history of the railroad. So they took a survey of everything that we currently have out there, how the sites were looking today, and then came back with a design palette of what they wanted, what they envisioned the park would look like for the residents. They really wanted to bring in that nostalgic feel, turn of the century, old sports teams, railroads, all of those kind of elements. We looked at a lot of the design factors for the historical ballparks, things like that. And you can see the Keller Railroad Station up here. Wanted to tie all those in together, and so you'll kind of see that theme as I go through here and talk about the enhancements that we're making. We also, just a lot of seating elements, bistro lighting, things to make it not just a sports park, but something where people can come and congregate and have other types of special events. So we'll kind of go into it section by section. Here's the 3 original KYA fields. This is our 2 multi-purpose fields. What we're going to do is this field, you'll remember that flood map. This is completely in the floodplain. So if we touch it, we have to get rid of all the fences. It was built before the floodplain came into effect, before FEMA was a thing. So KYA really wanted to keep that field. They didn't want to lose it, so we're just leaving that field as is. But we're going to upgrade the other 2. This one, we're going to turn into a miracle field. It's going to be completely synthetic turf. This one, and then this multi-purpose field, we're turning into 2 baseball fields. They'll have synthetic infields and foul lines, but we'll keep the grass in the outfield. We'll also redo the multi-purpose field, all new irrigation inside. We'll replace the field house with the restroom and concession building. We'll also have a pavilion for the public, and then we're building a new field house over on this end. I've got some renderings here of what that would look like. So this is the miracle field. This is the other small baseball field, the multi-purpose field, and then you see the field house over here in the corner. We'll kind of walk through it. So as you're walking up by the miracle field, you'll see that brick and the images that they're trying to get that old nostalgic feel from all those old ballparks in. And we're working with the arts board along with the park board to come up with an artist to come up with renderings of what exactly all of those artists are going to entail. As you're looking from the behind home plate onto the field, you'll see that synthetic turf and really stand out and show a big improvement over what we had. We're getting rid of the backstops and putting in the netting, so you'll have a better view. You're not having to look through the little chain link squares. You can see we've got the railroad elements scattered throughout the park, just to try to tie that in. The Keller was a railroad town, and that's why we got a lot of the metal. Just the whole aesthetics. I wish I was an architect. I could do so much better explaining how they tie it together, but I'm not. But here's our open air pavilion. We have seating elements throughout. That is lined where we can bring in food trucks for big events. There's talk about potentially moving Keller lights there at some point. We'll see if council gives us that go-ahead and how we can make that work. Then as we're walking down from the parking lot to the field house, we do have bistro lighting and seating along the sides. There's 2 baseball fields on each side, and at the end is the new field house, which will have meeting rooms on one side and a restroom facility on the other. And we also have a very nice landscape area that we're going to try to, we're going to incorporate into the design and spruce up the overall beautification of the sports park. This is our baseball fourplex. This is the ones that was built in the early 2000s. What we're doing here is these 2 fields, we're expanding the outfields so they can have more games on it, not just for little kids. All 4 fields are getting the synthetic infields and foul lines. That was something that KYA really stressed they needed to keep rainouts from occurring, to have more practices, and just more opportunities for kids to play. And I didn't mention mention this at the first, but we had a task force that was comprised of 3 members of city council, 3 members of the Parks and Rec Board, all the presidents of all the youth associations that utilize the sports park, and the task force assigned those sports park users. They said, come back with your list of everything that you want, your wish list. And when they brought it back, the mayor said, no one's getting everything they want on this list. So we're all getting something, but no one's getting everything. So now go back and prioritize. Tell us what you can't live without. And they all did that. They said, well, we want this, but we have to have this. And that's how we got to synthetic infield turf and not synthetic everywhere. Just because everybody played well together in the sandbox, didn't take all the funding and say, well, soccer's more important or whatever.
Yeah, may I throw one thing in there too?
Absolutely.
So one thing that, the sports park could be a revenue generator for the city, could be a driver, but one of the things that's been a challenge in the past is to have tournaments or other things like that here, because if you're all grass and you have rainouts, then, you basically are, all the people that made the investment to travel there to be part of the tournament they lose out. But with synthetic, you have more options because you have fewer rainouts because you have control over the field conditions. And so that was one of the reasons why that's a must-have for them. But it also then gives us the opportunity to possibly now open things up for tournaments and other activities in the sports park.
Yes, thank you. We also have existing restroom and concession buildings, and all those are getting upgraded and refurbished as part of the process. Getting new fencing, new backstops again, taking out the old chain link and putting in the netting. These are the soccer pads, C, D, E, and F. And this is I'll get to this area in a little bit, but this is all city-owned property. We are building a full-size rugby pitch up here on the north side with adjacent parking lot. We made it rugby size so we can play any sport on it. So we can play football, soccer, lacrosse, rugby. That expands the opportunity for the tournaments that Felix was mentioning. For the soccer pads, we're getting all new fencing, getting shade canopies for all the spectators. We're getting the ADA connections that we were lacking from the parking lots to all the fields. We're redoing the restrooms and concession buildings. We're also getting tall nets for the ends to keep the balls from flying into the creek and everything else that has been a problem for KSA for quite some time. So here's a rendering of what the shade structures would look like, not only on the soccer side, but on the lacrosse side and the rugby side. That have that same theme throughout. Here's that rugby field. You see the adjacent parking lot and the shade structures on one side. So then we've got the A and B pads for soccer, the lacrosse field, and the equestrian arena. This soccer pad is going to be completely synthetic field. That was the big request from KSA. They wanted one field that they could have year-round access to for clinics, for rainouts, potentially practices. It's going to expand everything that they can provide to their constituents. Upgrading that restroom, concession building, again adding the shade structures and ADA connectivities. Some of this isn't exactly, this was part of the concept. This shade structure is actually the boat on this side. We didn't have enough room with the creek here to put it on that side. We got ADA parking for this field and connections to this parking lot for the lacrosse players. Because right now they were kind of parking up and down the street to get as close as they could to the field. Then we're building a restroom and storage facility at the arena that's going to be shared. The storage will be shared by the equestrian users and the lacrosse associations. So this is that soccer P pad, which is getting the synthetic turf. We'll have that netting up to protect the people at the pavilion from the game players. In the equestrian arena, here's the restroom storage building. We are improving the seating area, enhancing the landscaping, adding some shade trees and tables and chairs for spectators. And we are putting a press box on the end of the arena here, that one of the requests that the equestrian users asked. They really wanted one when they hold their play day events and things like that. Yes, sorry. So we had our groundbreaking back in February. You recognize Felix on the end there. City Council was very excited about this project. After the fact, after the groundbreaking, City Council, as part of this overall project, City Council was looking for a place to put a splash pad. We looked at numerous locations throughout the city, what would be the best. Everyone immediately said Bear Creek Park. When I pull up the map and show you the floodplain, then you'll be like, well, we'll have to take out somebody's soccer field or baseball field or get rid of something, put a splash pad in that location. And that was that was the situation with every location in the city other than sports park. So we did find one area at the sports park, north of the softball complex, to build what we're calling a splash pad. We're also calling it a water feature. It's kind of both. In my mind, it's kind of like Sundance Square or Heritage Hall. It's just fountains coming up from the ground. The kids can play in. It doesn't have the overhead attractions or buckets or things like that not only cost more to put up, but cost more to maintain. This is something that the council has been really wanting to give to the public, which was a free splash pad amenity for years now. So we're incorporating that into part of this project. We'll have a pump house, and on the side we'll have a family restroom, shade structures on both ends, lots of landscaping, lots of natural seating areas. These fountains will get several feet tall. They'll change in heights and variations, and they'll also have different color elements to them that will glow up at night. And then on both sides, we'll have very enhanced landscape areas. Any idea, just that component, or those components together, any idea what money we're talking? 24? 26? 35, as close as you got. So the overall park improvements were right at 31. Then we added almost $5 million for the splash pad, 4.8. Then we went back and added another 4.8 to redo all the roads and streets throughout the park. Because if you drive through there right now, it looks like a mess. There's construction equipment has done some damage to our roads that weren't in good shape to begin with. So all of those will get redone. And remember when I said this was going to be a residential neighborhood? So all those water lines and sewer lines are being relocated to where they're not underneath the middle of the playing fields. They're 30 plus years old. They were bound to, the life expectancy is typically 40, so they're bound to go bad at some point, and we didn't want them going bad in the middle of the season and having to shut down fields for an extended period of time.
And that's not included in that number, right?
That's in the original 30.
That is in the original 30?
Yes.
But it's Public Works that are doing that.
Yes. So we're taking funding. Most of the majority of the funding is coming from KDC. That's that half-cent sales tax. There's some coming from the general fund from Public Works to do the water and sewer and also the streets. KDC is paying for the parking lots, but Public Works is paying for the streets.
What's the estimated completion?
Estimated completion is substantial late 2025. We anticipate having a ribbon cutting in early 2026. So one of the things that we didn't accomplish with the sports park was anything indoor. That was one of the other things that KYA came to us and said, what about basketball, volleyball, cheer? We looked at that opportunity. Could we do it? We could, but we would have had to sacrifice something else, something that I already showed you. And they weren't willing to do that. Yes, sir.
You talked a little about parking in terms of maybe relatively speaking, we got parking for X now, what the plan for similar number, but considering what this is way,
Parking is still a challenge. We're not able to solve all the parking. We are adding close to 100 spots up here for this one field, but the rest is the original parking that we had. By redoing this parking lot down here, we were able to add a few more spaces. That's the one that was under construction for almost a year. But unfortunately, and that was a challenge that they saw right off the bat, is either we can have parking or we can have fields, but we can't have both. But up here on this area, we have 7 acres kind of divided by the creek here over in this far corner. It's just been vacant and just sitting there as parkland. So we reached out to a company that specializes in indoor, yes? Cost.
money.
Cost.
So
Originally,
this is exciting though.
so originally, the council wanted a 25 million cap for this project, and that's what they were trying to strive for. And when we got it to the 27, 28 million and said, okay, this is what we're going to do, then we added the parking lots, then we added the splash pad, and that's how it creeped up. But that's where it came from. So a company that does indoor basketball, volleyball, and futsal, they've got numerous facilities throughout the Metroplex and throughout the state. They're called City Sports. They've already signed a contract with the city for a ground lease for 60 years for that 7 acres. They're going to build a 70,000 approximately square foot indoor basketball, volleyball, cheer, and futsal facility. So again, the sports park is down here. Golden Triangle is up here. These are the 6 basketball courts. You turn them sideways, you get 12 volleyball courts. They've got 3 covered outdoor futsal courts, and then eventually they'll build 3 more uncovered outdoor courts. Some renderings of what they're planning on doing. They want to break ground in December, and they anticipate 14 months of construction. So they'll be done almost the same time we are. So this is really good. KYA was ecstatic about this. They found a home for their basketball program. It might compete with the Keller Points volleyball program, but we're okay with that. We like competition. They're going to have their own futsal program. During the daytime, when kids are in school, they've also talked about opening up for pickleball players. They'll have the gym space, but they said they'll see what their business model allows them to do. And so this project, it's a ground lease. So they're going to pay each year for the first 10 years. They'll pay $15,000 a year. Then it'll grow incrementally every 10 years. Where through the course of the 50 years, I'll pay just over $1.1 million. Comes straight to the city general fund. It's not used specifically for parks, but it goes to the general fund, and then it's help offset all city-related expenses. And that's it.
I met with them, and one thing they really want to get involved locally, and they said that the facility can be used for other things besides sporting events. And like we were just talking about some of our events, that they will have some spaces for office space out there. Yeah, they're really wanting to get engaged. I think we're probably here.
Yes, they want to become very involved in the city, not only from the city standpoint, but the community as well. They will have like a pro shop where they'll be selling goods and services. Also might have physical therapy or recuperation services for their athletes. Might do some specialized training. So that they kind of got that mix going everywhere else. They have these facilities. They're really excited about this area. Once they ran the numbers and determined how many kids are in this area playing and don't have that indoor space, they were excited to come here.
And I'm looking at meetings.
Goes back to the overall map of the park.
Of what it's going to look like, or what it currently looks like. See right here. Yeah. Here's the creek. I'll go to the next one. Here's the creek. So they're going to be on this side. So they're going to have a second entrance over here off of Golden Triangle. We're going to connect this road through here, have more access for not only them but for the soccer association.
So that's a question for you. So my daughter's going to play soccer, so trying to get into the soccer field. You can stop on there. So coming in and out of the soccer field,
Right here?
yes, it can get really backed up as games are getting over because there's not a stop sign there. You know,
So
stop
what-
going this way.
what's-
You people coming out of the
Yeah.
sports park.
What soccer's been doing is been hiring an officer to direct traffic. When it's not soccer season, yeah, it's putting up a stop sign and just be sitting there. I understand the problem, but it's a problem on busy days and daytime, but not 24/7. So they've been utilizing Keller PD for their traffic.
The second access though to Golden Triangle with this new development that's coming in is going to alleviate a lot of pressure right at that intersection because there's only one way out in this when you're in the soccer field. You're coming out that one spot, so all of it funnels. I don't know if you realize how many. I used to serve on the soccer board, And there are 18 in the spring season. We have 2 different seasons, spring and fall. Fall we have around 1,800 players, and then we have in the spring 1,500. Carl, you can attest to some of that too. Carl's sitting back there because he used to serve on that board too. But the thing about that, if you look at the sheer volume, just that's soccer. And you add the parents and all that stuff coming through there, and there was one way in and one way out of those soccer fields, and so that's going to be alleviated a little bit by the second entrance and exit off of Golden Triangle. So how many of you heard how this is funded? Because I think it's important, because you guys are always ambassadors of the community, and people, I can tell you, you guarantee, in Cody's job, you are guaranteed never to make everybody happy in the role he's in, or any of the Steve can attest to this as a former city councilman, that anybody that serves or volunteers on council, all of our council and board members, commission members are all volunteers. But you can, one of the most challenging thing is you can always guarantee that you won't make somebody happy, and you can always guarantee that you'll never get it perfect for the whole group, but you try to get people together. And one of the things that everybody comes back to is and says, well, okay, that's costing me more money, or where does that money come from? Who heard where that's coming from? Who caught that? Joe, I would expect, because he knows how that stuff is done. And those two right there know how it's done. You take Phil Wood and being a former city council, so you guys cheat because you already know the answer. But who doesn't? Who heard where it came from when you said that? Where does it come, Harry?
It comes from the half-cent sales tax.
Yeah. There's half-cent sales tax that's used, and that's what KDC goes through and tries to figure out how this funds are allocated. So this was not a, we didn't go out for a bond for this. We didn't have a separate bond package that was voted on for this.
No, this is through certificates of obligation through the half-cent sales tax. So we had a 15-year note on past projects that we were paying $1.5 million on through that half-cent sales tax. That dropped down to $200,000 this year. We're bringing in almost $5.5 million in sales tax just for Parks and Recreation. So the debt payment for this for the next 15 years is $2.5 million. So that still gives us another $2.5 to $3 million to do the normal 5-year CIP projects that we've been utilizing before, as playground replacements, upgrades on park restrooms and amenities and things like that. So this wasn't going to impact, we're not putting all our money in the sports park and not doing anything else. We're still going to be able to do the things that we want to do and pay this off within 15, 20 years.
I know you said you manage the parks and the trails and everything. Who goes out and recruits like tournaments for baseball or soccer? Do you go around the state and recruit that?
We don't. The associations do that for us, yeah.
But that brings in revenue to the
Correct.
Well, it can.
It can.
So we haven't been a real attractive spot for that.
Yeah.
Because one, field capacity. Two, we didn't have any symbolic. So, then, as I mentioned before, but now we have extra capacity. Yeah. We have some fields that are built that is, we're calling them multi-purpose fields because there's utility on them. You can, as Cody said, that new big field that's going up on the north side of the park, it's built rugby size, but you can bring multiple soccer pitches on it. You can do different things. So, there's going to give us flexibility. The other cool thing is that is the park. One of the things that you hear all the time is, well, you're doing all this for the kids. Well, wait a minute. If you looked at that design, it's purposely designed to actually be able to utilize it for other events. So you heard Keller Lights may go out there. There's pavilions out there. You could have special events, food trucks. You could actually, the park could be, one of the things we're working on right now is the usage agreement and the rental rates and all those things in the city that haven't been, what did we determine, they haven't been updated in
At least 10 years, if not more.
So right now, you can go over and rent the pavilion on Johnson Park for, if you're a resident, $30. And that's incredible. I mean, but we haven't looked at the numbers, we haven't looked at the way, but this project is driving a lot of that as far as looking at the infrastructure, looking at the way we have the usage agreements and the rental agreements. But this park will be an amenity that everyone in the city can avail themselves of. The other argument, the other side of that is I can tell you some of the best times of my life and the best memories I have are coaching out on that field. I coached 21 seasons out there. And I love those days and miss those days, but I know that there's a bunch of parents and grandparents that come out there and enjoy watching their children play. And then there's other people, there's some of the softball leagues and some of the other things, there are some adult amenities out there. And the Miracle League and the things that they do with that are just amazing. So the Miracle Fields, Miracle League in soccer, such a special thing, such a special part of Keller. And so, you know, this park is really meant to be something for everyone.
My son and daughter plays like softball and baseball. Whenever you're playing out your spring and your fall tournaments, you sign up for you're paying a lot of money for it. So you're paying a little bit more money to go to a facility that has 8-foot turf because you don't want it to be like that. Unless there's a thunderstorm, it's not going to be like that. So if we're going to say we're going to play on March 26th and 27th, you go to a dirt field, there's a chance that you get all the way up to that day. You take your hotel and travel all over the wells, all this stuff, and it's canceled. So what day more to play? Also, you know, you said this is just for kids. Well, if you look at the stands, there's people that even from little kids go to Boston and Colby and sister all the way up to wheelchair elderly coming just to support. So making it more functional for everybody with the wheelchair access and all that would be
The other, just last thing that I know we're running down on time here, but if you saw the theme of the design, so if you know the history of Keller, you know, it used to be two different Alta and Twin Spring, and so then those kind of joined together as the city of Keller. Railroad used to run by here, and Steve can, you know, attest to the history. The guy who said, hey, you know, if you name the town after me, we'll put, you know, railroad stuff here, and his name happened to be Keller. And then, you know, there's a little more to the story. I'm giving you the Cliff Note version. But the railroad has always been part of our history here in Keller. And so it's a foundational part. So they're carrying kind of that theme. Old Town has been developed on the west side. The east side is now underway, this big development on the east side. And then the theme that carries right into it, into the sports park, is going to tie that in with some of that old retro nostalgic look and also some railroad theme with, you know, you saw the rails and you saw some of the railroad ties that are used for benches and seating and all that. So it's really going to be an attraction. This whole area is meant to be an attraction for us to bring these outside groups and others in. So it's going to be awesome for the chamber, and I think it's going to just really have a really great net effect overall on the city.
Another thing with these cities is sometimes you have a 3-hour gap. Is there any walking trails or anything that connects Old Town to Orange?
Yes, there's an existing trail now, and it goes underneath the railroad tracks, and it comes up down here, right here by the creek, and you can walk all the way up to Lamar and then get into Old Town. Yes.
Alan asked where the bocce courts are. You know, as an Italian guy, I tried to get that in, but we just don't have enough Italian Americans in Keller yet, but they're coming up. We're working on it. Any other questions? What do you think? You like it?
Love it, yeah.
And it's about 60, our usage on the park for resident, non-resident, what is 60-40?
65% non-resident.
Yeah.
We could do a 5K around there.
We could do all kinds of stuff. Let your minds wander because we can do all kinds of cool events. So it's really going to be exciting.
First 5K.
Wine discovery, whatever the name of the event is. Sorry, that was inseared in my brain. We have one role for you here.
You have to pick the winning ticket for our little morning lottery.
Last four.
9294.
Oh, there he is. Alan. So let's thank Cody for being here with us and thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you so much. Don't forget to take your cards. I'm gonna use our marker. Don't forget to take your cards and hand these out. Make arrangements now with your friends to bring them on October 3rd for our membership drive. Start putting that on Facebook, sharing it around. Wow. Rob Bergeron is it today. Drinks on him at Manny's tonight. Maybe. Something else I was going to say? I think that's it. Just make sure you start planning now and inviting your people for October 3rd. Now we will do our 4-way test. Michelle's going to take us through the 4-way test. Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Let the service begin when the meeting ends. Thank you guys for joining.
When people ask us who we are, we tell them we're problem solvers, opportunity creators, and change makers. We are Rotary. Around the world, our network of 1.4 million neighbors, friends, and leaders volunteer their skills and resources to solve issues and address community needs. Take action with us. Find out more at rotary.org/action.